When we talk about the code of life, we usually think about biology, right? Things like genes, DNA, that classic double helix. But what if the blueprint for every single living thing on this planet wasn't just written in the language of biology, but in something much more universal, the language of mathematics? That's the incredible possibility we're going to dive into. So, here's the central question, the big mystery. For a long, long time, the general consensus has been that the genetic code is kind of the result of random mutations and natural selection over billions of years. But this really fascinating theoretical framework suggests it might be something, well, something far more deliberate. A system that's built on a hidden mathematical code that's, believe it or not, shockingly elegant and precise. Okay, this is where the plot thickens. So the genetic code uses four chemical bases, A, C, G, and T, and it reads them in little groups of three called codons. Now, if you do the math, that gives you exactly 64 possible combinations. But here's the crazy part. Our bodies only use those 64 possibilities to perform 21 distinct jobs. Now, that's a huge difference. Why would you have 64 different commands if you only have 21 tasks? Is it just messy, biological redundancy? Or is there a hidden logic we've been missing all this time? So what are those 21 functions anyway? Well, they're the 20 standard amino acids. These are literally the building blocks for every protein in your body, plus a single stop signal that basically tells the whole process when to end. And that's it. It just makes the mystery even deeper, doesn't it? We have 64 possible inputs that result in just 21 distinct outputs. To even begin to solve this puzzle, we have to look outside of biology and into a theoretical model called the sablier de Perez, or the Perez Hourglass. Yeah, this is pure mathematics, a kind of fractal architecture. And the theory here is that this hourglass shape isn't just some abstract pattern. It might actually be the underlying mathematical framework, the blueprint that dictates the very structure of our genetic code. Let's break down how this thing works. The hourglass is split into two halves that perfectly complement each other. So you have the north hemisphere, which represents pure information, raw potential, all the possibilities, and it grows exponentially with a simple formula, 2 to the power of n. Then you have the south hemisphere. Think of it as its mirror image. It represents the actual, functional structure that gets built. It's calculated using a completely different subtractive sequence, creating what the theory calls numerical antimatter, a sort of mathematical negative space that perfectly balances out all that positive information from the north. So how does this actually map onto our genetic code? Well, let's start with the north. If we plug in the number 6 for n, the formula 2 to the power of n gives us 2 to the 6th, which is 64. Exactly. That is a perfect match for the 64 possible codons, the total informational potential of our DNA. This is the raw data of life, perfectly described by the model. And here comes the really incredible part. If we take that same level n equals 6 and apply the south hemisphere's unique formula, the sequence gives us the number 21. Not 20, not 22. Exactly 21, the precise number of biological functions, those 20 amino acids plus that one stop signal. The model doesn't just get close, it nails the biological reality with perfect precision. Okay, this is the point where you might be thinking, all right, hold on. That's a super neat coincidence, but is it just a numerical party trick? And that's a totally fair question. I mean, a correlation is one thing, but is there some kind of mathematical law that directly and unbrokenly links the informational north with the functional south? Well, yes, there is. It's called Theorem 8, and this elegant little formula is the unifying bridge. It says that the value from the north hemisphere, that 2 to the n, plus the value from the south hemisphere, L of n, will always equal the south hemisphere's value 2 levels higher up, L of n plus 2. This is the proof that the two hemispheres aren't just running in parallel, they're deeply mathematically interconnected. The north literally feeds the south. Let's actually walk through the proof together. We don't even have to start at n equals 6. According to the theorem, we can prove it using a lower level. So let's start at n equals 4. First step, we take the north's value. 2 to the power of 4 is 16. Got it. Next, we take the south's value at that same level. L of 4 is 5. Now we use Theorem 8 to bridge them together. 16 plus 5 equals 21. And what is 21? It's L of 6, the exact number of functions in our genetic code. The math just works. Perfectly. So what in the world does all this mean? It boils down to 3 huge takeaways. First, geometric certitude. The genetic code might not be a random evolutionary accident at all, but a precise, predictable output of fractal arithmetic. Second, functional parity.
Those 64 codons aren't just redundant, they are the exact mathematical input required to produce our 21 biological functions. And finally, stability. This beautiful balance, this duality between addition and subtraction, creates a system that is incredibly stable and resistant to errors.
You know, this whole idea really connects with a long history of scientific thought. Centuries ago, the astronomer Johannes Kepler said, "Where there is matter, there is geometry." He saw mathematical harmony in the orbits of the planets. And this theory suggests that the exact same principle of geometric order might apply not just to the giant cosmos, but to the tiny code inside every one of our cells.
And that leaves us with one final profound question to think about. If this mathematical framework really holds true, it could fundamentally change how we see our own existence. It suggests that life, in all its incredible complexity, isn't just some lucky roll of the evolutionary dice, but maybe, just maybe, it's a geometric certainty calculated by the universe itself from first principles. What do you think?